In the bustling heart of Lagos, Nigeria, where the city pulsed with life and ambition, stood the Golden Plate, a restaurant that gleamed like a beacon of luxury. Its glass facade reflected the vibrant chaos of Victoria Island streets, honking Danfo buses, sleek SUVs, and the constant hum of commerce. Inside, chandeliers cast golden light over polished mahogany tables, where Lagos's elite dined on delicacies flown in from across the globe. The air carried the rich aroma of jollof rice, sizzling suya, and exotic wines. The Golden Plate was owned by Mr. Adewale Williams, known to all as Sir Will. A towering figure in both stature and wealth, Sir Will was a man of few words but sharp eyes. His tailored suits, always crisp, and his polished loafers, gleaming under the restaurant's lights, spoke of his success. Each morning, as he strode through the glass doors, the staff, over 50 strong, stood at attention, their voices echoing in unison. "Good morning, sir." He'd nod, his face calm but unreadable, and reply, "Carry on." His black Range Rover, parked in its reserved spot, was as much a symbol of his status as the restaurant itself. Among the staff were chefs who crafted culinary masterpieces, waiters who glided with trays of crystal glasses, and cleaners who ensured every surface sparkled. But one cleaner, Emma, moved through this world of opulence with a quiet grace that went unnoticed by most. Her brown and gold uniform was faded, her shoes worn thin, but her hands worked tirelessly, scrubbing floors and wiping tables until they shone. Every evening, as the restaurant closed, Emma lingered near the kitchen, her eyes downcast, her voice soft, asking for leftover food. No one knew where she went after work, and no one thought to ask until one night changed everything. It was a humid Lagos evening, the kind where the air clung to your skin like damp silk. The Golden Plate's dining room was nearly empty, the last patrons departing in a flurry of laughter and clinking glasses. Sir Will emerged from his office, loosening his tie, his face etched with the fatigue of a long day. As he approached his Range Rover, he pressed the key fob, and the car chirped to life. Then he saw her, Emma, standing a few feet away, her hands clasped tightly, her gaze fixed on the ground. "Who's that?" Sir Will muttered, squinting through the dim parking lot. The other cleaners had already left, their chatter fading into the night. Emma stood alone, her posture rigid, as if bracing for something. Curious, Sir Will approached, his polished shoes clicking against the pavement. The air felt heavy, charged with an unspoken tension. "You work in the cleaning department, right?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. "Yes, sir," Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "My name is Emma." She glanced up briefly, then dropped her eyes again, her hands trembling slightly. Sir Will frowned. "So, why are you standing near my car?" Emma bit her lip, taking a shaky breath. "Please, sir," she said, her words careful, "I want to ask for a favor." Sir Will braced himself, expecting a request for money or a complaint about work. But Emma's next words caught him off guard. "Can I take some leftover food home?" she asked, her voice trembling with humility. He blinked, stunned. "Just leftover food?" he repeated, his tone softening. Emma nodded, her eyes still on the ground. "Yes, sir. Just the leftovers, if there's any." The silence that followed was thick, pressing against Sir Will's chest. He studied her, her tired posture, her worn shoes, the way her hands clung to each other. "Okay," he said finally, his voice quieter than usual. Emma whispered a quick, "Thank you, sir," and hurried back to the kitchen, her steps light but purposeful. Sir Will stood by his car, unmoving. Unmoving. Something stirred in him, a feeling he couldn't name. Why would someone ask for scraps when they could ask for so much more? He climbed into his Range Rover but didn't start the engine. Instead, he watched the kitchen door, his mind racing. Emma's voice, soft yet heavy with exhaustion, echoed in his thoughts. He glanced at his watch, nearly 10 p.m., and made a decision. He would wait. 10 minutes later, the restaurant's back door creaked open. Emma emerged, clutching 2 small plastic bags that looked light, almost empty. She walked quickly, her head down, blending into the Lagos night. Sir Will sank lower in his seat, waiting until she was a safe distance away before starting his engine. He kept his headlights off, trailing her at a cautious pace, his curiosity outweighing the strangeness of his actions. Emma's steps were brisk, navigating the crowded sidewalks of Lagos with ease. The city's nightlife buzzed around her, street vendors hawking roasted corn, Okada riders weaving through traffic, and the distant thump of Afrobeat from a nearby club. She boarded a yellow Malu bus, its sides dented and rusted, and Sir Will followed, his Range Rover a stark contrast to the chaotic traffic. The bus wound through Lagos's labyrinthine streets, past the glittering high-rises of Ikoyi and into less glamorous neighborhoods. Streetlights grew sparse, and the roads turned rough, littered with potholes. After nearly 30 minutes, the bus stopped in a rundown area of Surulere. Emma stepped off, still clutching her bags, and turned down an untarred alley. Sir Will parked a block away, his heart pounding as he stepped out into the humid night. He followed on foot, keeping to the shadows. The alley led to a dilapidated building, its walls cracked and peeling, its roof patched with rusted zinc. Broken windows gaped like wounds, and the air smelled of damp earth and neglect. Sir Will stopped, his breath catching. "This is her house," he whispered, disbelief tightening his throat. This wasn't a home, it was a ruin, a place forgotten by the city's progress. As Sir Will watched from the shadows, the building's creaky door swung open. 2 small girls, no older than 6 and 8, ran out barefoot, their laughter cutting through the stillness. "Mummy," they cried, throwing themselves into Emma's arms. She dropped her bags and hugged them tightly, her face breaking into a tired but radiant smile. "I'm here, my darlings," she said, kissing their foreheads. "I brought something for you." Sir Will's heart thudded as he watched Emma lead the girls inside. Through a broken window, he saw her sit them on a worn mat spread across the bare floor. She opened the plastic bags, revealing a single piece of chicken and a small portion of jollof rice. With careful hands, she divided the food into 2 equal parts, placing them on chipped plates. The girls ate eagerly, their eyes bright with joy, but Emma didn't touch the food. She sat cross-legged, watching them with a smile that masked her own hunger. Sir Will's chest tightened. He pressed a hand to his heart, his polished shoes suddenly feeling out of place in the dusty alley. "She has children," he murmured, his voice barely audible. The realization hit him like a wave. She wasn't begging for herself. Every scrap she took was for them. Tears pricked his eyes, and he turned away, unable to watch any longer. As he walked back to his car, the image of Emma's smile burned into his mind. She hadn't eaten a bite. That night, Sir Will's mansion in Banana Island felt emptier than ever. The marble floors, the imported furniture, the silence of wealth, it all mocked him. He tossed in his king-sized bed, unable to sleep. Emma's face haunted him, her quiet strength, her sacrifice, the way she divided that single piece of chicken for her daughters. He stared at the ceiling, his wealth feeling like a weight rather than a triumph. By morning, he was resolute. He arrived at the Golden Plate earlier than usual, his mind still heavy. Sitting in his office, he gazed out at the Lagos skyline, but all he could see was that crumbling house in Surulere. He called in the HR manager, a wiry man named Mr. Okoye, who entered with a nervous smile. "Good morning, sir," Mr. Okoye said. "We need to do better," Sir Will said, his voice low but firm. "Some of our workers are suffering. Raise their pay, starting this month. Make sure no one goes home hungry." Mr. Okoye nodded, scribbling notes. "Yes, sir." As the HR manager left, Sir Will leaned back, Emma's face flashing in his mind again. "She didn't even eat," he whispered, his resolve hardening. He knew a raise wasn't enough, not for her.
Emma arrived at the Golden Plate that morning, her routine unchanged. She tied her apron, grabbed her mop, and set to work, her movements swift and precise. To her co-workers, she was the same Emma, quiet, diligent, always offering a small smile. No one knew the weight she carried, the nights she went to bed hungry so her girls could eat. In the kitchen, she continued her nightly ritual, knocking softly on the door to ask for leftovers. "Please, is there any food today?" she'd say, her voice steady despite the humility of the request. The kitchen staff, used to her presence, handed over small portions of rice or stew, and she'd thank them with a smile, tucking the food into her worn plastic bag. Sir Will watched from his office, his heart growing heavier each day. He noticed the care she took with every task, the way she never complained, never arrived late. He began to wonder how many others like Emma were hidden among his staff, their struggles invisible behind their uniforms. One morning, as Emma polished a table to a mirror-like shine, the head cook approached. "The boss wants to see you," she said. Emma's heart skipped. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked, her voice barely audible. The cook shrugged. "Just go." Wiping her hands on her apron, Emma walked to Sir Will's office, her mind racing. Emma stepped into the office, her hands clasped tightly. "Good morning, sir," she said, her eyes on the floor. "Sit down, Emma," Sir Will said, his voice unusually gentle. She sat, her posture stiff, unsure of what to expect. He leaned forward, his eyes meeting hers. "Emma, I followed you one night," he said. Her eyes widened, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "You followed me?" she whispered. "Yes," he admitted. "I saw where you live. I saw your 2 little girls." Emma's hands trembled and tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean to do anything wrong," she said, her voice breaking. "I was just trying to feed my children." "You did nothing wrong," Sir Will said firmly. "You're a good mother. You're strong." That evening, Emma cooked jollof rice and chicken in her small room, the aroma filling the air. Her girls sat on the mat, their eyes wide with excitement. "Mummy, you bought a lot of chicken," the younger one exclaimed. Emma smiled, her heart full. "Today we eat well," she said, serving 3 plates. For the first time in years, she ate with them, savoring the taste of hope. The next morning, a black sedan pulled up outside their crumbling building. The driver smiled. "Good morning, madam. Mr. Williams sent me to take you to your new home." Emma and her girls climbed in, their few belongings packed tightly. The drive to their new apartment in a quiet part of Yaba was filled with odd silence. The house was modest but clean, with fresh paint, sturdy windows, and soft beds. The girls ran through the rooms, shouting, "Mummy, we have our own beds." A real kitchen. Emma stood in the living room, her eyes tracing the clean walls. She sank into a chair, whispering, "Thank you, God." Later, her phone rang. Sir Will checking on them. "Take the day off," he said. "Enjoy your new home." As Emma cooked their first meal in the new kitchen, her girls giggling beside her, she felt something she hadn't in years: peace. Their journey had been grueling, but kindness had lit the way forward. Emma's quiet strength and Sir Will's compassion had woven a new chapter, one of faith, love, and a brighter future.